So yesterday or last week we went over basically why we're doing this. Carol talked about common language, the flow from kindergarten to first. There's a whole lot of benefits. Getting everyone's small group intervention, or not intervention, but small group literacy instruction 4 days a week. I mean, it's all good. We went over starting with pre-A lessons for our little babies who are still learning their letters. Last week I went over 8 ways of working with letters plus, because I gave you lots of ways to do the same thing. So I came up with more than 8 ways. That's kind of what I do all day. We did some things with working with names. And then I noticed, you guys were a little confused because I didn't make myself clear about when we went into any type of Heggerty or picture sorts using sounds. That was working with the sound part. When we did sorts, just with letter features and attributes, long sticks, short sticks, that was more this one. Okay, but when we did sorts with with baby and bottle and, blah, 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 that's more of like working with sounds. I wanted to make that clear. Carol's going into working with books, and the bottom one is interactive writing today. If we have time, our next focus will be on A through C, readers, okay? And we'll maybe be able to start that, but, that will move into our next section.
And do you have handouts for ABC?
I do.
Okay, good.
But
All right. Good. Well, it is my pleasure to be back again. I'm so excited because when I walk down the halls here and I think about kids in small groups getting what they need, I get excited because it's not like 20 or 22 kids in front of you and the top kids are falling out because it's boring. The young kids can't get it because it's going too fast. So we are doing important work here when we break them up into small groups. The other important work that we're doing is that we are beginning to establish common universal language around reading, the task of literacy, and developing the strategies that kids need to help them solve the words that they're going to find in front of them in a text. You are going to be the first teachers of those strategies now. We've designed the strategy cards so that what kindergarten is using is going to flow into first grade. So it's not like at first grade the kids are going to look at the teachers and say, we're going to do what? Okay? So real important. If I go too quickly, slow me down, or if you have a question, pop your hand up, or if other people have things to interact with, please do that. This is not about me standing here.
Could you
Okay?
just speak up a little louder?
Oh,
'Cause one of us
sure.
is a little.
And I brought an ear trumpet for you. No, just kidding. Okay, so here we are, and we are at the pre-A lesson plan. So if you have your notes in front of you, you didn't get anything. Okay, peek at hers and we'll make sure Tina gets that. You may be involved with some of those kids.
Yeah, we have
So
some
here we are at pre-A. Pre-A could be ELL kids who don't have the language yet, or they could just be children who have not had a nursery school experience or a home experience that has taught them any letter names or sounds or what to do. So there's going to be a range even within that group, okay? This morning, we're going to take a look at working with books, okay? So please, if you haven't noted this on your sheet, this is only 5 minutes. I'm going to do a lot of talking about what could happen there. But you as the teacher are going to distill down what you think your little group sitting in front of you needs, and you're going to try to keep it to 5 minutes. Remember that what you need to teach doesn't all have to happen on the first day. In fact, you're going to be saying it over and over and over again, okay? Now, as you're selecting a book and doing a book, you're going to see that this book might take you more than one day. Might not be a book that you wrap up open up, look at, and finish in one day. Let's take a look at what Jan Richardson says for working with books. What are we trying to do in this working with books section? We're trying to help these very early emergent readers to develop the idea of the concept of word. Think back when you were 5 and somebody said to you, you know, what does that say? You didn't know whether the person meant the spaces count. That's all one word under that picture. That's several words under the picture. What's a letter? You know, all of this is helping kids to figure out what letters are. But now we're going to hop into a book where we figure out the concept of word. The concept of word is usually something, a unit, that's surrounded by some white space here and some white space here. But don't assume that the kids know that automatically. Some are going to catch it quickly. The earliest pre-A kids really are going to have somebody point it out. Like, let's finger frame a word. Here it is, okay? Or let's finger frame a word, find a word. Even if they don't know what the word says, they can find a word. Got it? They don't have to be readers for that. They have to be able to know where a white space is, where some letters are, and where another white space comes. But they can catch the concept of word. Now, in a big book or in a small book, we're also going to take a look at what's the first and the last word. And we're going to ask them to locate that in a story. You can write your notes right on this plan because Tina and I are going to give you some good, clean copies of this lesson plan so that when you go to plan, you'll have a good sheet. Okay? We're going to take a look at the concept of letter. Okay, so within that word, where's the letter? And everybody could be looking at a different letter, but they're finding a letter. Notice we're not saying find the letter B yet. We're just saying find me a letter. Find me another letter. Good. What do you think your letter says? What do you think your letter says? Okay, now we're going to take a look at the period at the end of a sentence. Period, common language, is the stop sign. That tells us to stop at the end of the sentence. That's the word we use, stop sign. Okay, here, last one, capital and lowercase letters. Great for kids to look at their own name.
We say uppercase.
Uppercase, okay. Great for kids to look at their own name or a list of names to say, where's the uppercase letter in this name? Finger frame it. Where's the first letter in this name? Where's the last letter in this name? Find a word. Yeah, here's a word. A name can be a word. All of these are the early skills for children that are beginning to learn to read. So keeping this list in your head is a good thing to do if you are with this group of youngsters who are learning. Okay, things you might use in a book. I'm going to show you several different options. You might, if you have some very early speakers, you know, one word, no word, you might want to use a wordless book and just have some conversation about the picture. Like you might say, you might model, first of all, this girl is swinging, and give them the language of the whole sentence, not just when you ask a question. You don't want to just say, what's the girl doing? Swinging, because that leads to a one-word answer. So you might need to be modeling this, especially for early, no language, English language kids. Now, they've got a structure in their head, We're just asking them to put our structure in their head. So you might be saying, this girl is swinging. You might ask them to repeat that. Well, they might get very good at wanting to repeat that. And then you might do just, that expressive face. I see a ball. Looks like someone's kicking the ball. You're laying the language down. Now, in this, you're also showing and modeling. This is the way the book goes. This is right side up. It's not this or this. An early print concept. Look at all your teaching already. The book goes like this.
And that we go from the left page that some kids don't know.
Okay.
Nothing
So
is
when
too
we're
simple.
so when we're here, we're also talking about, what's happening on the cover. Oh, I see the boy and the girl are playing ball. Looks like they're outside. They're not in the house. So you want to lay all that down when you open the book. It's this page you're looking at. When you turn the page, you're going to, this picture happens to be the whole thing. But in some books, you're going to be showing them that first we read this page. And by read, I'm saying read the picture. Let's read the picture. Now, we're modeling for kids our very first reading strategy. And that's called Take a Picture Walk. You are each going to have these strategy cards. You're going to have them in your basket or in your workspace or someplace where you can hang them out. We're going to try to make some smaller ones that might be able to be used on a tabletop. But you're already saying, let's take a picture walk through this story. A picture walk happens in a book all the way from pre-A to G or H. Kids are taking picture walks. This is what gives kids a semblance of story and shows them how it works out. So you could do it in a wordless book, okay? And there are lots of wordless books. You're going to read in the notes that we passed out to you last time that Jan Richardson says she really believes that kids should have their own small copy in their hands, that the engagement level is better for a kid. But if you have young children that don't even understand how this works yet, you may want to stay in control of the book for a while. Now, this is a book that happens to have the story on the full 2 pages. But if you were looking at another book, you would want to model for them that, first we're going to look here. This, if you haven't taught for a while, is called the title page. You might want to tuck that in your brain because later on, you're going to be teaching some higher groups. You're going to say, let's look at the title page first. Okay? What do you think is happening on the title page? What do you think this book might be about? Making some predictions, taking a good look at the picture. Then you want to model. This is the first page, then we look here. So now, maybe you have many lessons with wordless books because you're also teaching the kids how to develop some sub-thinking about it. You're showing them how to handle the book, and you're also teaching those behavioral attention skills. Like, we're looking up here, we're all staying together. You're keeping your body in your space. You're doing a lot of modeling of things. So take it slowly. Don't be hard on yourself. These kiddos have a lot to learn, and you're doing a great job of taking it slowly enough so they can absorb it. Now, you may be ready for a book that has some print on it. Let's remember, when we're taking a picture walk, we're still reading the pictures first, okay? Don't jump right down here. That's what a lot of kids want to do, and when they get to books B and C and D, they jump right to the text and they miss important clues in the picture. Lots of important clues, because in that next level up, there's a lot of story still in the picture. So don't jump to it too quickly. So I would say with a picture walk, you're going to take a look at all the pictures first. Okay, don't even worry about the text yet. You're taking a look at everything. Ooh, look at that. So, what do you think kids might be saying right there? This kind of looked like
I always know. I
real-
do that one. That's like one of my first books.
it looks like real animals and stuff, and then all of a sudden, we've
know
got a
that.
really
They
good,
know
I
they're
didn't know
toys.
that.
Yeah.
It was some fantasy.
No.
yeah, yeah. So, you're going to, you're going to be asking them, you know, this is the hand of God right here.
I don't get it
Okay,
made.
so suddenly, this would be a great place to stop for a prediction.
Yeah.
Look at this.
I need one of those hands.
Isn't this sweet? So, you know what? We sometimes say, oh, A-level books, especially if you've taught a lot of them, kind of boring, ho-hum. Be careful. Make sure you read the book first.
Yeah.
Make sure you do a good preview because this is not what it seems.
Just for the ELL group, I want to make it known that, I mean, a lot of them go to Kumon and all this stuff, and they have like all these rote skills. So they're the ones that want to look at the words, right away, and they miss so much about those pictures. So it's
Yeah.
really important.
Really important to lay that skill down about reading the pictures. And this whole idea, the picture walk always comes first. Always comes first. Now, I'm just going to show you a few places that you can go because what's going to happen when we all start doing guided reading, it's going to be like, where's a book? I need a book. I need a book. A to Z is one of our go-to deals where you can go online. I wouldn't say we're going to use all of A to Z. You wouldn't want this to be a preponderance of your lessons because we want to see kids in good texts like this or, like this. But there's going to be the time when we are going to come to a squeeze out with yikes. How, where are we going to find the books? A to Z, you can print them in this size. What we discovered is that Anne in the office knows how to jack it up to this size. So, if you wanted to use this as a big book, right on an easel, she's got the magic numbers. So you just ask her, what do you have to blow this up to? So here's the book in a big book size where you might want to use it as a model. Then you could, for your group, maybe this is your first modeling piece when they're all going to have a little book at their desks or right in front of you. It could be color because that would really help the engagement level, okay? And since we're putting a lot of money out on color, I would say save this color one, build your classroom library, teachers, and when you go to send home a black and white, so that the kids can have this book to take home to read to mom and dad. And they can even color it at home. They don't need to bring it back. But meantime, you save this color copy because then when another group is needing the word go or just the whole idea of a pre-A level book, we've got something already built up in our library. Tina?
The pre-A's are really good on.
So you could do that. Here's another one about big. This is a nice book. Now, one of the ways, so how do you know what kind of a book to pick? Okay, this is a real important piece. Do we have the word wall, the sight word?
Yes.
Okay. You will see as you find as you look for books, that there are going to be books that really will highlight a sight word. Now, this is where you are really going to be observant about what's happening in your class. What's the classroom teacher working on as her sight word or words this week? You can see in this book, what do you think the word is we're trying to teach here? A. We're not trying to teach cow or sheep. All we're really trying to do is teach the word A. Okay? So, going back to these early skills that need to be happening here, you could be saying, show me a word. Good, what is it? A. Can you show me another word? They might show it to you, and maybe somebody's going to be able to read it, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to say, right, that word is cow. And you can go through the whole book that way, finding a word, finding the white space, finding a letter, finding the first word, finding the last word. There's a lot of meat in this, but you have to pay attention to what's happening and what your goal is. Here's a word, just by looking at these 2 pages. What's the word you're teaching here? My. So when your classroom teacher is working on my as the sight word, here's a great book. Or find one of these books that has my in it. Great way to emphasize that so that you really are working in tandem with your classroom teacher. I would say, teaching any words backward, whatever she's taught. And you might say, what's going to happen next? But now you have a list. Tina, help us.
Hubbard's Cupboard, if you know that website, that also, I go there a lot. Like, I couldn't find one, create book with I. I mean, so they have like little books with sight word books that are very simple that you could also use. Hubbard's
Is that free
Cupboard.
to do that?
It's free, that one's
Cupboards like
yeah.
Mother Hubbard went to her cupboard. The other thing too that you could use, now this is a little lengthy, but I'm just going to show this to you. If you can't get a book that fits you for a particular week, you could use a poem. Now this one divides itself really nicely. You could just work on this. You could just do the first half of the poem. And what might your word be if you were doing, I'm still not used to this that I have this. What could your word be that you're working on in this one? Look. You could be working on look.
For the language, English language learners, there's position words or, direction. I mean, not that that's something they're going to read, but it's something that we noted, what does it mean to be in something or on something?
That's right. And look at the nice kinds of punctuation we have here. Now, might be early to do an exclamation mark, but again, look at your group and see what fits. The next day or two, this could be part of your lesson, and it could be can or run. Okay, so if you're having trouble finding a book, you could use a poem. Tina and I have used poems in the past in order to stay with that. Okay, so let's take a look now at this part, this interactive writing and cut up sentence. Okay, we teach this part so that we begin to make a connection for kids about the sounds that we've been teaching them, about the concept of word, and about how we can write down what we say or think. So if you have your notes from last time,
You're looking for one of the handouts?
create.
Oh.
If you have your notes from last time, you are looking at, and you can write right on your sheet. Look in this packet and go to page 71. Okay? I'm going to just do a little demonstrating for that. But find 71, write on it, or highlight or underline or do whatever you need to do. And I'm going to move some.
Oh, sure.
You're going to move. Okay, good. All right. Here's my writing station. Okay, I like to work with sentence strips because it gives me some space reminders and things. So let's pretend now that we're at this writing, cut up writing thing here. And I am thinking that, I've read a book, let's say, no. The prompt is going to be, what can I do? Okay? So you're talking about, what can you do? She's sitting there, she can't figure it out. Anybody, what can you do?
Ride a bike.
I can ride a bike. Ooh, good. Good and good at risking the word. What can you do?
I can run.
I can run.
Jackie, you don't want to
Good.
circle table
So you might sample the group and listen to the kinds of words that are there that you're getting, because you're trying to figure out what do the kids know that I can use, and you're going to say, that was a good sentence, we'll use that sometime, or whatever. You want to make sure as you're going through the group that everybody someday gets their sentence up here on the board. But I'm going to use for the beginning, I can run. Can you see, Simon, can you sit on the floor? So somebody
They're gonna stay there all.
Yeah, okay. So, I can run. Ooh, let's clap that. Now, Richardson isn't showing that, but this is a great way for you to make that tie-in between Haggerty and the clapping. So it might be, I can run. Do it again. I can run. And everybody's saying it. I can run. You clap it. I'm going to count the words. Do it one more time. I can run. How many words do we hear? 3. Good. Here's the first word. Now, this is early on. Tina
I
got something?
use chips beforehand, just a little trick, and they get this more visual for them.
Mhm.
I can run space.
Do they have the chips or you
No, I
do it
have
like you're
them,
modeling it?
Yeah, you're modeling it. Okay, so I'm talking about myself. So with this one, folks, make sure you've watched your teacher now. Make sure that you know how, the handwriting with tears letters go, because this is a very impacting kind of an experience. So I think I is straight line down first. Ooh, there's our first
And
word.
this is very confusing for kindergarten, the A word and the I word, because it's a letter and a word.
So, this isn't the only day you're going to write I. You're going to write I lots of times, but this is the first place. I. Let's read that word. I. And somebody might say, I know I, and they might say, looks like this. Yes, you're right. It does look like that. And when we talk about ourselves, this is what we write, I. Okay? What's our next word? What did we say? I can. Okay. Now, finger space. This is where we're talking about white space. Okay? This really helps us to know that this is a word and this next thing is a word. They're not all together. Can. Can.
Okay.
Yes, you're right. It could be a K. What other letter says K? K? Anybody?
Cat.
Okay, like cat. Good, cat. K. K. Okay, K. Let's listen. K. T. Do it again. K. T.
Can.
Oh, can. Excuse me. Thank you. Can. I was thinking about my strategy cards there. Can. K. Now they're probably going to get because it's at the top of the alphabet, so that's a short vowel that they may get. So you're going to model it. Okay? Maybe not?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, so it starts. Now, in this case, I have to make a decision as a teacher whether this is a handwriting lesson or it is a writing lesson in terms of getting the message down, okay? My mode in my head right now is I want to model the correct formation of the letters, but I don't want to make it be a handwriting lesson because I'm asking them to hear the sounds and I want to record it. But you have to be careful because it gets crazy, okay? So k, what shall I write? N, here's N. Oh, read this word with me. Let's see. Some people say stretch the sounds. Some research has said that stretching the sound distorts it too much. So the common phrase now is let's say the sound slowly. So it k, and good. What's this word? Can. Good. Let's read the 2 words we have. I can. Good. I can. What's our next word?
I do say it like a turtle.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Because it's more,
So you
Mhm.
don't say
You could do that.
stretching this and-
You now. Let me finish that, and then I'm going to show that because there are a couple of different ways. I can run. Here's our next word. Yes, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, everybody, eyes up here, please. Run. What letter is that going to be? R. I wouldn't expect them to know so I'm going right on. What do I need? Run. Okay. So this is like day one, okay? There's so much to this. This is a rich experience, but you have to keep your signals clean. Okay, let's read what we have here. Everybody help me. I can run. Good, we're finished. So we're gonna put a period right there. That's a stop sign. It tells us we're finished with that sentence. Okay, now I've seen some good things, some good behaviors right here. Some people are saying, I know that I've been taught that can could be like this. Can. Yes, you may use that. Wilson sometimes says this. That helps them to know what it is. Whatever you do, remember, first you say, what are we spelling? Can. Do it. So you want them to have the mindset of can. Then you're going to do then you're going to repeat, what did we spell? Can. Don't leave them just at this single unit stage, okay? Blend it together, put it together so they know what they're doing. Because this is really what we're teaching is the word can. Okay, now.
And you can use the Haggerty movements when
You
you were
could.
doing the beginning of a can and run and
Yeah.
the ending.
All of those things. But be mindful. If you're going to do it one way, then keep on doing it that way, okay? Don't switch it up because it's nutsy.
But they know what they know right now is the Haggerty moment. They don't know this yet or
Okay.
this. That comes when we start doing blending more.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to be working with older kids, so they'll know it, but kindergartners won't.
Yeah, your kids will already have two systems kind of developed, okay?
I
So,
think with the inconsistency, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not getting something here, would be, let's say I'm doing a pre-A group and Lauren's doing a B group, and one of my kids just soars, and all of a sudden it's in her group, and I've been doing ding, 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 and she's doing, so,
that's where you have to have some conversation,
right.
okay? The other thing is too,
Do it
that's
my way.
Yeah, that's where you have to have the conversation. Also, if you're looking at the bottom of that page 71, Richardson says, when do you discontinue this very structured piece? Look at that, because after the kid has a certain number of sounds, after they can do some of this blending on their own, you don't need to be doing this, okay? Now, one other piece, always have your alphabet chart near you. Now, this is called interactive writing for a specific reason, because it's going to be interactive. So now I'm going to demonstrate, this is like day one, when you assume they have nothing and you're showing them and you're talking about word. Now, interactive. Let's say that our sentence is, I see a dog. I see a dog.
Carol, you have like maybe 3 or 4 minutes.
I'm going to finish this up. Okay, so days into it. Where are we going to start when we write this sentence? Where will we begin? Can you come show us where we're going to start? Okay, this is come for real, come for real. This is the real, there we go, we're gonna start right here. So folks, do whatever you're gonna decide, but keep your signals clean, okay? So I'm gonna put this right here because this is where she said we're gonna start, and we're gonna start doing that. Which way are we gonna go, people? Show me with your hand, which way are we going to go? This way. This way. So here's my arrow going this way, okay? All right, our sentence is, I see a dog. Ooh, who can write I? I. We need, now, they're not gonna have this anymore, so but you've been doing a lot of I, so you're gonna find somebody, okay? Now, here's where I have my alphabet sheet right here. This is my group in front of me. I know, I'm smart. I've got this right in front of me and I know which letters kids know. So if you get this perennial pop-up who does, is volunteering for everything but doesn't know but maybe 2 sounds, you don't want to call them up here for a goof up because you want this to be modeled pretty cleanly straight away. Okay, so I know that Jessica knows how to write a capital I. Will you come make a capital I for us? Okay. So this is the interactive part now. The kiddo comes up, they do the writing. Okay, good. Thank you, Jessica. I see. We need a finger space, so here we are. C. Who thinks they can write the first sound in C? Okay, so Johnny, I know from my chart, Johnny knows S. So Johnny comes up and he writes C. Okay? Boys and girls, listen. Let's say that word slowly. C. What are we gonna write next? Okay, Susie knows it's an E. So Susie comes up and she writes this. Now you decide right where you are, whether it's a sight word for you or not. Look at that, she wrote C. And in this word, now I'm pretending they don't know much, you're right. And in this word C, it takes 2 E's. So here we go, let's read the 2 words we have. I see, okay? So that's the interactive part, the kids are gonna come. Now, the last part is cutting this up. Scissors? Yes. Okay, so let me show you this quickly because this is the other part of it. Okay, so everybody's gonna read it. Here we go, read with me. I can run. Now watch what I'm gonna do, folks. I'll leave plenty of white space on each side of the word. And in your interactive part, you want a lot of white space between the words. What's this word I'm taking off? Can. What's this next word I have? Run. Okay, now I'm going to cut the word run away from the period. The period is going to have its own place. Okay, and then if you were sitting at a table, sitting on the floor, you might give everybody a word, and then they're going to come and help you build the sentence. Now you're building auditory memory already because they don't have a copy of it. So then you'd say, who has the first? Let's say the sentence, I can run. Good. Who's got the first word? They build it. Who's got the next word? I can, and they construct the sentence. Okay. All right.